So this is the fun part. Give it a big punch. Welcome. It's Kathy Lake here from LARPD. I'm here today to show you from my own kitchen how you can bake amazing dinner rolls for your family, and I'm going to give you my special tips and my special secret recipe. Alright, so first thing we do when we're baking or cooking, always tie your hair back. You don't want to surprise your guests. So we've got all-purpose flour, we have a little wheat flour, active dry yeast, some sugar, sesame seeds, measuring cups and spoons, 2 eggs, half a cup of butter, a little salt, milk, and shortening for keeping things moist while the yeast is rising in the dough. So we're going to start with the first thing, 1/4 cup of lukewarm water in this bowl. It's going to be activating our yeast separately from everything else. So I'm going to take a couple of tablespoons of this thin sugar is what makes yeast really excited. So we're going to take about a 1/4 cup, and we're going to go ahead and stir it up. So if you can see, that's how it starts out, and you'll be amazed that it'll probably triple in bulk when we're ready for it. I've already preheated the oven for a minute or two and then turned it off so it would be warm inside. If you have a gas oven, all you need is the pilot light within your oven. What you need to remember, really important, is if your oven is too hot when you're trying to work with the yeast, it will kill the yeast. We're going to put this little puppy in here, and we'll do step 2 and come back to this. Our next step will be to scald the milk. We're going to add 1/2 cup of butter, which is just 1 cube. And then we're going to do 1½ teaspoons of salt. That's about half. Last thing we're going to do is add some sugar. This is a 1/2 cup. I'm going to add a little more than that because it makes the rolls taste absolutely delectable. To scald the milk, I take the easy route here. I'm going to stick it right into the microwave and run it for a couple minutes, and when there's a skin forming on top of the milk, you know it's been scalded. Then you take it out and cool it down until it's lukewarm, and it won't try to kill the yeast when you add it in. I put in the milk for 1 more minute. Total of 3 minutes is what I did with the microwave. Now, so what we're ready for is for that to cool. We have to let it cool. In the meantime, I'll show you that I do like to take the 2 eggs, and I want to go ahead and just kind of whisk them together a bit. There we have whisked eggs. Now let's hurry up and wait. Okay. Okay, so now while we're waiting for things to cool, I'm going to go ahead and measure out some flour. Now I want you to know that these things don't have to be exact. This makes a wonderful flavor, so you can use all white flour if you like, but I love to add about 1 cup of whole wheat flour. You just lightly get the flour in. Don't pack it down because then you get too much. So I'm going to use 1 cup of whole wheat flour, and the rest of the mix of flour is just going to be about 6 cups total. So that'll be 1 cup, and then we're going to do 5 more, and that's 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups. That's my girl Stella drinking her water. And here is 5 cups. So I've got my scalded milk mixture poured into my big red bowl, and now I'm going to add in the little beaten egg yolks, or eggs, whole eggs, not just the yolks, the whole egg. Got our yeast, which has been activating in a warm place, mixing those together. And then the last thing we're going to do is start adding in our pre-measured flour. Again, we've got about 6 cups total, and 1 of those cups is wheat flour. The rest is white. Still easy to stir, and we need to get it to be a really stiff point so that we can handle it to that perfect point where it doesn't stick to your hands, but not overdone, because then your product might be too dry. So here I've still got about a cup left of my original 6 cups that I haven't put in yet. And you can see it's getting thicker, harder to stir. You can also use a mixer with a dough hook, but I like to do it the old-fashioned way. You wouldn't want to add all the flour at one time, because it would be hard to get it mixed together. This is when the mixer with a dough hook would definitely save you a little elbow grease. And just put that last cup in, last partial cup. There we go. Yeah, if you can see this consistency, that looks just about right. I am right now getting the dough kind of stuck together. I'm going to dump it out onto a pile of flour. Remember, everything that you add while you're kneading goes into the dough. So if you get too much flour, you're going to have a drier product. Okay, here we go. The kneading process. Push it forward. Bring it back. You're bringing air back into it when you do this. Twist it around, bring it back. So I'm going to leave, since I have gloves on, I'm using my knuckles, but normally you would use the heel of your hand. And push and pull, twist twice. Keep doing this 5 minutes or so. But now it's starting to stick, so just a little more flour there, not a lot. If you've been sheltering in place, you might think this is pretty good exercise. So 5 to 7 minutes, we're kneading air into this, and we're getting it until it's smooth and elastic. So we are about ready to get this in the bowl and let it rise. Here's what we're going to do. I'm grabbing the Crisco shortening. I'm going to grease in the bowl so that the dough doesn't stick terribly. Pat it down so it will rise at the same speed. Now we're going to take that shortening and just cover the top a little bit so that it won't dry out when it's rising. This is the part where we wait while it rises in a warm spot, and the oven is warm but not hot, and so here we go. It's going in the oven. We'll see you in an hour and a half when it's doubled. So it's been about 2 hours, and we're going to unveil the dough. Look, it's bigger than it was. So this is the fun part. You can really take your frustrations out for sheltering in place and give it a big punch. And there it goes. Now it's going to be ready to work with. Tiny bit of flour, but not a lot. Grab this dough. Done with that red bowl now. And now we're just going to knead a little bit more. Not as long as the first time. See how it's not sticking now, and I'm not using all that flour. Okay, starting to stick. Don't want too much flour, but just enough to get it off the kneading board, just to keep it from sticking. We've got our pan already, got the shortening in it so the rolls won't stick. this will actually make 24 beautiful dinner rolls. So we'll grab a piece of dough, and then you work it hand to hand. If you're right-handed, take your right hand, put your fingers in the middle of that, and then you keep pushing it through this little rabbit hole here. So you've got these two fingers, you're pushing it through, and then when it looks like the size you want, pinch that and twist it and pat it, and there you have one roll made. So we're going to go for this way, 6 this way. Pinch it off, twist it. There's number 2. I learned how to do bread making when I was 21 years old. I had a desire to make things from scratch. I was newly married. I had a friend that I was 21 and she was 31, and she came over. She came from Minnesota, so she knew how to do all the baking and cooking. She was a master. So she spent a day with me one time and said, I'll teach you how to make bread. And I've been doing it ever since. Now what you're going to do is make them start rising in your warm oven again. Usually takes about an hour, but you want them to start rising all at the same speed, because this timing is a little more crucial. When this rise is almost peaked, you take them out of the warm oven, turn the oven on to 425, and heat it up to bake them. But you don't want to wait too long in between, because you don't want them to start falling because they've reached a peak and they're going back down. So to start them all at the same speed, we're going to flatten each one to the same height. Level the playing field. Cover again, and off we go to the warm oven. Okay, so it's been another hour. This is what you should be seeing. So we need to carefully not bump them and take them out and put them on top of the stove while we turn the oven on. And we're going to turn it to 425, and we'll only put them in for 5 minutes. Pull them out, brush them with milk, sesame seeds, and then put them back in for 5, and we'll have the end result. 425, we just hit our temperature. Going in very carefully. You don't want to bump them hard or they might fall. And we just want them to set for 5 minutes. Are they ready yet? We're not even going to pull them out of the oven. But the trick here is you can't brush them with milk and sprinkle them before they set up in the heat. So this is kind of a fast-moving process. Work quickly. Brush the tops with milk. It gives the sesame seeds something to stick to, and it makes a nice, pretty finish to your rolls. So shake them up and close that oven up. 5 more minutes. Don't go much longer. You can test them, but if they go longer, it will be too dry. There we go. Do I have to roll over for one of these rolls or what, Ma? Here's our timer. Voila. And I'm going to show you. Oh, they are perfect. You want them to look like this. So here's the finished product out of the oven. It took quite a while. They smell wonderful. Can't wait to have friends and family dig in. So my friend Phil said his grandpa used to tell his grandma, get your biscuits in the oven and your buns in bed. So, bon appetit.